Hello, in this video we're going to write an extension method to draw a plus sign for the graphics class. So I'm going to open up a new project. And I'm going to hide this thing here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a class, call it extension methods. And make it static. And then create a public static method. Void. I'm going to call this fill plus sign. And we'll use this graphics, add the using directive. And we're going to have to specify the brush first by convention. Just make it a normal brush so anybody who uses this method can use a linear gradient brush or a solid brush to draw or to fill the color or whatever, fill the shape that is. And we're going to need a rectangle, of course. Do we need a rectangle? Yes, we do. We're going to use a rectangle F. That way the user can pass in both a rectangle and a rectangle F. And then we're going to need the thickness of the plus sign. Float thickness. So I'm not going to use a pen because the pen has too many things in it that we don't need. We'll just be drawing rectangles with the thickness value. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw the vertical, what should we call it, rectangle. So thinking ahead of time, I know that the X is going to be a bit of a calculation, so we're going to have a separate variable for that. X for the vertical, and that's going to be rect.x, so on the rect x, and then we're going to have to do plus rect.width divided by 2, take away thickness divided by 2. So simple centering logic here. Okay, now we can actually do graphics dot fill rectangle, and we are going to create our, well, I don't think I'm going to create a rectangle. I'm just going to do this straight up. So I'm going to specify my x. Y is going to be rect.y, and width will be the thickness, and the height will be rect.height. And that should do it. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the horizontal rectangle. And the y is going to be something, so I'm going to create a separate variable for that. So y is going to be offsetted by rect.y, and we're going to use the centering logic, rect.height divided by 2, take away thickness divided by 2. And we're going to do something similar as up top, graphics.fill rectangle brush. We're just going to use the float variables up here, this overload. So I'm going to specify x. So on the x it's going to be rect.x. On the y it's going to be our y that we've calculated above. And the width will be rect.width. And the height will be thickness. So you just kind of swap things up a bit with this one. And I think that's all I really need to do. So I'm going to test it out. Alright, I'm going to define a rectangle. So rectangle F, well, just a normal rectangle really. is equal to this dot client rectangle. We're going to shrink it a bit so you can really see how it's doing. And then we'll use the draw method. So e.graphics fill plus sign. We can pass in a brush. So I'm going to use the brushes class to get some predefined brushes. We're going to use green. And then we're going to specify our rectangle, which is rect. And the thickness, it can be like 30 or something. And we'll check it out. So there's the plus sign. And we should use resize redraw so we can really see how it's doing. Now, if we want to keep the plus sign proportionate, then we're going to have to do something else. We can get the smallest dimension from the rectangle here and use that for our calculations. So let's do that just for the heck of it. Float smallest dim is equal to, we're going to check to see if rect.width is smaller than rect.height. If it is, then we're going to yield rect.width. Otherwise, we're going to yield rect.height. And that will get the smallest dimension. So now we can replace all of the width and height with the smallest dim, and we should get a proportionate plus sign. So smallest dim, and smallest dim. Let's check that out. So now you can see that it stays proportionate regardless of its dimensions, or the form's dimensions. Just something cool to think about, really. Anyways, that's how you write a fill method or a draw method for the graphics object, and I'll see you later.